Well, today marks 1 year until the 2022 Winter Olympic Games begins, and Beijing is stepping up its preparations. The construction of all 12 competition venues is complete, and Beijing Major Projects Construction Headquarters Office says all venues are now ready for test events. And the National Speed Skating Stadium, or Ice Ribbon, is the only newly built facility, while the other 11 have been remodeled from venues built for the 2008 Summer Olympics. There are 3 Olympic villages located in Beijing proper, Yanqing District and Hebei's Zhangjiakou City. Over 1 million volunteers have been registered. Beijing will be the first city to host both the Summer and Winter Olympic Games. And for more on this, we are now having Wang Dong at the Ice Cube, one of the major arenas in Beijing, and Zheng Yibing in Beijing's Yanqing district. First, Wang Dong at the Ice Cube. It was known as the Water Cube during the 2008 Beijing Summer Olympics. So tell us more on the overall preparations for the Games.
Hi, Dongying. Indeed, the construction of all 12 competition venues is complete right now and also ready for us to actually use, and well ahead of the schedule, although there will be some loopholes here and there to be tightened up. Basically, in Beijing, all the stadiums are ready to be tested out, as you mentioned. Where I am right now, specifically the Ice Cube, it used to be called Water Cube. Remember, in the 2008 Beijing Olympics, we saw a lot of swimmers vying for the top honors. Right now, it has undergone a complete and revolutionary facelift. It has become Ice Cube, if you will. And of course, in just about a year's time, this place will be hosting and also holding the men's and women's curling events for the Olympics and Paralympics. And of course, in addition to that, right across from this stadium, we have the National Indoor Stadium, and that event, or that venue rather, is going to be for the men's ice hockey for the Olympics and Paralympics as well. So in short, all the stadiums are ready, and all the stadium-related infrastructure rather is also done as well, with Chinese features, with also high-tech elements involved at, they call, China speed. Back to you, Dongying.
Well, the COVID-19 is still prevailing all over the world. So how are the Games prepared in terms of COVID-19?
Yes, indeed. This is quite a challenge. As a matter of fact, it is still an ongoing battle. And of course, as I mentioned, actually, the staff members here would like to keep this place a virus-free condition and environment for athletes to practice, and also for all people concerned. And a lot of strict restrictions and also precautions measures are being taken. And also, when people enter this environment itself, you really have to be tested with your temperature. You will be tested with all sorts of certificates and so forth. And in a nutshell, all these things are ready, and all these things will be carried out till the April of this year for the first national test competitions. Now, talking about national competition for the test itself, that is going to be quite interesting, because a lot of athletes from China domestically will be gathering here for this event to test out how the volume of the sound is, how the, for example, the overall flatness of the ice surface is, and so forth. And if everything goes well, and COVID-19 coronavirus condition permitting, and with the improvement of the situation itself, international players will be gathering around in October for some international test competitions, and that will be also quite a challenge ahead. So still, we have some work to work out in order to prevent the COVID-19 from spreading, and we have to really control the situation. And this is what the management here is trying to do. And check out the slogans right behind me, right there. It's called, do not stop for a single moment, do not miss a single step, and do not delay for a single day. And this is really the policy, and this is really the way people try to work for in order to keep this place, to keep the environment, all the venues in Beijing virus-free. Dongying.
All right, thank you very much indeed. Wang Dong reporting from the Ice Cube in Beijing. And now to Zheng Yibing in Yanqing district, also in Beijing. Yanqing will be home to many ski events during the Winter Olympics. Yibing, how are the preparations going on there?
Well, yes, Dongning, as you know, the snow competition will be held this time for the 2022 Winter Olympic Games in two areas. The first one is in Beijing's Yanqing district, which is this place I'm standing right now. It's some 80 kilometers northwest of Central City. The other one is at Chongli in northwestern Hebei province. From here, we still need to go north and travel about 160 kilometers to get there. So now back to Yanqing. A full preparation for the Winter Games is underway here. There are 5 snow competition venues here, and there will be almost 27 different competitions to be held here in the next year. And these include alpine skiing, sleigh, and sledge. In construction, all the sports venues have been completed in December. And recently, they're doing the adjustment, I mean the local people and the volunteers and the organizers for the Olympic Village. They were doing the adjustments in various venues. Yesterday, a drill was conducted by Yanqing to see their management on the sports venues and responses to various situations in the competition. And Chinese President Xi Jinping recently visited this place. It is here the major places like the alpine skiing will be held next year for the Winter Games. Dongning.
But Yibing, there's been a growing interest in winter sports in China. How has the Olympics contributed to all this, to arouse people's interest in the Winter Games?
Well, like here in Yanqing, the district in Beijing, well, this place is far away from the city proper, the Beijing city. It's about 80 kilometers away from the city proper because this is the north end of the city. So a lot of people here, they have the tradition of the playing skiing, sleigh, and sledge. Even here, today, back in the distance, there's a lake, and all the people in the recent areas, they're playing around here. So I interviewed some people here. They have the enthusiasm about the Winter Games, particularly for the upcoming 2022 Winter Games. So let's take a listen to what they're saying.
This makes us feel honored. As a local in Yanqing, I decided to become a volunteer to contribute my own efforts to this beautiful Olympic city and the Winter Games.
I myself love skiing very much, and I feel so excited that I can watch the greatest competitions in my hometown. I already participated in the ice and snow sports training, and I'm trying to improve my English for the upcoming games.
And also, I interviewed some senior people. They're here. They're talking to each other this morning, and they would say for the upcoming 2022 Winter Games, they would also practice their English to welcome the athletes from around the world. Dongning.
Thank you very much indeed, Zheng Yibing, reporting from the Yanqing district in Beijing. So, according to our reporters, ice and snow are all ready for the Games. Now, let's turn to South Korea, which held the last Winter Olympics and also has a very strong advantage in winter sports. Let's turn to our correspondent there, Shane Ham in Seoul. Hello there, Shane. How is South Korea preparing for the Beijing Winter Games?
Hi, Dongning. Hard to believe that just 3 years ago, the city of Pyeongchang here in South Korea was preparing to host the Winter Games, and now we're a year away from the Beijing Olympics. And like you said, South Korea, traditionally a powerhouse in winter sports. In fact, at the Pyeongchang Games, a successful run by athletes here. The team finishing in 6th place with 17 total medals. The critique here is, though, that a lot of those medals are skewed, and disproportionately 13 of those 17 medals occurred on the skating rink, both the long track and the short track form. But there were medals, surprise medals, in fact, in curling, the skeleton, and the bobsled, as well as snowboarding. So the team will definitely want to build on that momentum moving forward into next year's games. Now, another thing I want to point out is that the coronavirus pandemic is hindering many of the athletes' preparations for the games. Many of the the events and the competitions. Tournaments have been canceled, both domestic and internationally. And so a lot of the facilities have been closed down by local governments. So a lot of athletes, some I've spoken to, say that they're having trouble preparing like they would for any other Olympics, but that you could say that that's the case for other athletes around the world as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the athletes prepare for the Beijing Olympics, which are happening, like you said, just a year away now.
Shane, what have winter sports brought to South Korea's economy indeed?
Well, prior to the Games, many estimates had predicted that the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics would have an economic effect, a total economic effect of about $65 billion, but it's really hard to gauge whether that has been achieved because these types of reports and predictions take into account both direct and indirect effects, including tourism and whatnot. A lot of the critique, both before and after the Games, had to do with the facilities that were built for the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics. Many of them have been refurbished and are being reused. For instance, the sliding events, the sliding facilities still remain, but the curling, ice hockey, and the long track speed skating facilities are being refurbished as well. There was some tug of war between the central government and the local government on who would pay the maintenance fees on that. So as well as the alpine skiing facilities there, the alpine skiing facilities, many environmental groups want that to be turned back into its natural habitat. So these are some of the issues that the country and the city of Pyeongchang is still grappling with, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the next couple of years.
Yeah, right. Thank you very much. Shane Ham reporting from Seoul. Now, despite the COVID-19 pandemic, China says it's committed to hosting the 2022 Winter Games and vows to get more people to participate in winter sports. Gao Yiming has more.
Getting 300 million Chinese interested in winter sports. That was China's vision 6 years ago when it bid to host the 2022 Winter Olympics. The capital, Beijing, has been preparing for the sports spectacle after successfully hosting the 2008 Summer Olympics. This time, it's working to deliver its promise of a successful Winter Games, even as the world is being ravaged by the COVID-19 pandemic.
I expressed my appreciation and gratefulness to President Xi, and also our great satisfaction with the state of preparation. Not only the Chinese people will greatly benefit, also the global winter sports will greatly benefit.
All competition venues in Beijing are now ready for test events. In neighboring Hebei province, the co-host city Zhangjiakou also completed all of its 76 Olympic projects by the end of last year. Chinese President Xi Jinping said China has adopted strict epidemic prevention and control measures in moving forward with preparation work for the Games. He also expressed his confidence in a successful Olympics and encouraged Chinese athletes to work for it. To better protect the environment, Beijing will use carbon dioxide refrigerants on a large scale for its Winter Games. The method is much safer and cleaner compared with traditional ways and allows for accurate temperature control and zero emissions.
You know, these Olympic Winter Games will be fit for the post-coronavirus world because there will be a great emphasis on also the sustainable development.
1 year away from the sports event, China is working harder than ever to reach its Winter Olympics goal. Gao Yiming, CGTN.
And Chinese athletes are not wasting any time as they prepare for the chance to shine on home snow and ice. Now, Greg Lafrady has the details.
Wen Jingsui and Chong Han.
Chinese figure skaters Sui Wenjing and Han Song are no strangers to success. As a team, the pair have won 2 World Championships, an Olympic silver medal in Pyeongchang, and 6 ISU 4 Continents titles. But due to the pandemic, they missed the chance for more glory when the World Championships in Montreal were cancelled. Han returned home to have hip surgery in April, and despite a speedy recovery, he was not fit enough in time to perform at the ISU Figure Skating Grand Prix Cup of China in November. The pair continued to undergo their rehabilitation and training, and with not much time left before Beijing 2022, Sui and Han remain confident they will be in top shape.
In 2020, we built up our strength. We kept training during the pandemic and still gained a lot of experience as we get ready to compete in the upcoming season and the Olympic Games.
We hope the experience we gained this year can help us perform better. We will now try our best to get prepared for the 2022 Games.
Sui and Han are medal favorites in the pairs, while fellow skater Jin Boyoung is one to look out for in the men's singles division. The 23-year-old placed fourth at the Winter Olympics in 2018 and defended his title at the Cup of China in November. With another season to go ahead of the Games, he admits that Beijing 2022 is his main focus.
This is a precious chance for me to keep training during the pandemic. I got to know more about both my strengths and weaknesses, and I think the whole team has learned a lot during this year.
While the three figure skaters already have Olympic experience, freestyle skier Gu Ailing views Beijing 2022 as a chance to show the world what she can do in her first Games. The 17-year-old is known for her competitiveness and dedication to the sport, after graduating early from high school to train for a year before starting at the prestigious Stanford University in the fall of 2022. 1 year on from winning 2 gold medals in the big air and halfpipe at the 2020 Lausanne Winter Youth Olympics, she claimed a pair of golds along with a bronze in her debut at last weekend's X Games. And after topping the podium in both the superpipe and slopestyle in Aspen, Gu now has her sights set firmly on further success in Beijing.
Of course, I'm super excited. It's the biggest event ever, and every athlete is dreaming about winning the Olympics. To be able to have such a huge audience in China is like the biggest honor. I'm thinking more of the Olympics as a way to bring it to other people and less of as a way that I have to prove myself to the world or any of those kind of thoughts that people would associate with building a lot of pressure, because any pressure comes from myself. I don't really feel that much pressure from outside sources. It more just drives me and makes me more excited and motivated and makes me realize how important events like this are and how important skiing is to me and how much I want to spread it to other people. So that's just kind of the fun part, I think. All the pressure comes from myself. I decided that I wanted to compete for China when I started thinking about it when I was probably 15. I was in China when the announcement was made that the Olympics were going to be in Beijing. So that thought had been in my head since way before I was on the professional circuit. And the idea really was just from what I was mentioning before about spreading the sport to more people. What I was thinking is, because I grew up looking at so many role models in the US and having them inspire me and motivating me to become the person who I am, if there's nobody like that in China, I feel like we're missing so much potential and the ability to introduce the sport to so many people. And especially because the Olympics are in China, that actually creates the audience to listen. People are interested in winter sports, so it's really easy to introduce people to free skiing and introduce girls to free skiing and be a role model because there's that interest in it. So I think that was probably my biggest motivating factor. So my schedule has definitely changed because of COVID. Contests are getting canceled or postponed all the time. That's why I was so grateful that X Games was able to happen. I had a crazy weekend. It was my first X Games and I was the only rookie. I became the first first female rookie in X Games history to win 3 medals. And I was also the first person of Chinese descent to ever win X Games. I'm so honored that people care, that people want to follow me and they want to hear my story and they want to be involved in my life. And I think that that's just amazing to me and it's such an honor.
Well, athletes around the world are working hard to prepare for the 2022 Beijing Olympics, and veteran Olympic athletes like skeleton racer and Mirambel are looking forward to participating in the Games once again. Rahul Pathak has more from Madrid.
Well, it's difficult to describe because you need to feel it. It's amazing. So you have like an explosion of adrenaline inside of your body, but you need to be calm and decide every moment what you need to do and see where you want to go.
Estamos aquí en Innsbruck, en la zona de llegada.
You may not have heard of him outside Spain, but skeleton racer or slider Ander Mirabel could justifiably be described as an Olympic legend. A veteran of 3 Olympics, next February he'll be in Beijing competing in his 4th Winter Games. An incredible achievement for a man who almost single-handedly introduced Spain to the sport, which sees competitors hurl themselves down a steep and treacherous ice track, reaching speeds of up to 130 kilometres per hour. And if Beijing 2022 is to be the 38-year-old's final Winter Olympics, competing in the first ever Winter Games to be hosted by a city that already held a Summer Olympics would be the perfect send-off, if a little bittersweet for the man from Barcelona.
Well, I think this is one of the dreams because Barcelona is fighting for Winter Olympic Games in 2030. And I'm a little bit jealous that China will be one of the first to have this opportunity, no? But it's really nice that the Olympic Games go back and give the opportunity again to give the opportunity to have all these amazing sports in China. And for me, it's completely 2 different worlds. Summer sports is one thing, winter sports is another one. Also, the type of athletes that you can find in the summer and the winter are completely different.
Now, Spain has traditionally not enjoyed much success at the Winter Olympics in the past. Just 4 medals won since 1936, their first appearance, testament to that. Spaniards have traditionally been drawn to the Summer Games, where they've won a total of 154 medals. But thanks to the passion of people like Ander, attitudes are changing. But for the last 12 months, there's been one issue that has overshadowed preparations for athletes everywhere.
Our athletes are training hard. We have athletes in Russia, we have athletes in Canada, we have athletes in Italy, and we have athletes here in Spain, which move around Europe as best as possible due to the pandemic to get ready and compete at international events where they will qualify for the Olympics.
All eyes will be on the Summer Olympics in Tokyo later this year to see if a huge multinational sporting event can take place in a post-COVID world. Rahul Pathak, CGTN, Madrid.
You're now watching Global Watch on CGTN. Still ahead.